Welcome to our next deep dive on crew roles aboard the AC75s. Today we're looking at Luna Rossa, the Italian challenger of record, and their beautiful symmetry in the roles. I'm Mozzie Sales, and with me today I've got a good friend Rob Gullen. We're hoping to bring to you a bit more of the meat and detail of this AC Cup cycle that you just won't get on the normal broadcast. So without further ado, let's pick up where we left off yesterday and dive in with Luna Rossa. Who do you want to go to next? Who do you fancy?
Let's go Luna Rossa. First thing about a Luna Rossa, which is super obvious, is that they have two helmsmen, one on the port side, one on the starboard side. So they've got Jimmy Spittle, who doesn't really need any introduction. He's been involved in the America's Cup since he was a teenager. Been with Oracle for the last couple, and before that was with Luna Rossa.
He is starboard helmsman.
Yeah, I think the two helm thing is quite good because there must be massive competition between them, mustn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, you would never want to be the slower helmsman.
Okay, so if we talk about their setup, they've got Jimmy Spittle, who's starboard helmsman, Francesco Bruni, who is port helmsman, and I believe, or from what Jimmy Spittle said in his interviews, the helm do flight control when they're to leeward.
Yeah, so they seem to have a little joystick that's up on the kind of up on their outboard shoulder. So the leeward helm is kind of looking forwards. They seem to be able to look around quite a lot and talk quite a lot about the relative angles. Like there's a lot of input coming from the leeward helm into the mode. I guess they know a lot of that based on where they're putting the foil, but I think that little joystick is a cant control and a flap control in one. So I think it's just a push forward and aft for flap and in and out for cant. And if that is the case, that's a really neat little solution.
And then we have main trimmer, who is Pietro Sibello of 49er sailing fame as main trim, and he is their sole side swapping crew member, isn't he?
He is, and I think again he's trimming off a kind of a box. So I think in reality he probably could trim from either side. I know in the pre-start he just sits on the starboard side. So largely I think he's swapping sides for ease of communication with the helm who's actually driving, and also for writing moment.
And then their grinders are set up in four pairs, 2 pairs per side facing forward and aft. And so I guess this is one of the big differences from Team Ineos, who we've just discussed, is that they have 8 people who are on the handles, and watching the footage, basically apart from loading and unloading winches, which the winch is in between the two sets of grinders. Apart from doing that, their hands on the handles all the time.
Yeah, so I effectively, like you say, they're grinding in 2 pairs of 2 on each side, and so 3 real dedicated grinders aside, and then 1 jib trimmer aside. When you look at the sailing team roster there, they've got some big rowing guys, some big swimmers, so they're going to have huge aerobic engines. And then they've also got a couple of 49er guys who you'd imagine be pretty top-notch on the jib and also very fit.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite a nice little setup. Those guys can probably be pretty heads down. And
Now, what is different, and this is notable with, really noticeable with American Magic as well, is, and Luna Rossa have since put these deflectors on, but it seems like Luna Rossa, they are quite aero a lot of the time, and that's by the grinders being on their knees. So I think they've got more grinders, but a lot of the time they're obviously kind of a bit limited in their ability to put output because they're like kneeling down basically. And then, you know, if they have a hectic part of the course, it looks like they all stand up and give it a few whirls on the coffee grinder, but then are back down on their knees. And when they're on their knees, they're pretty much flush with the deck on Luna Rossa.
So that's pre these aero fairings they've put on.
Yeah, deck, and that's before they put the aero fairings on. I think the aero fairings will probably help when they're stood up grinding, but to be honest, it's not going to make a lot of difference for a lot of time.
Yeah, in a way, I think it's a shame they're going with those aero fairings, but the boat looked really clean.
Right, we've not really talked about it enough, and we probably should do because it's the main feature of Luna Rossa, and that's the twin helmsman, no tactician. What do you think about that? Good or bad? How would you like it if someone was helming port for you in your dinghy?
I'd constantly be disappointed. But well, unless it was maybe Francesco Bruni, and then I'd probably be quite happy. I actually don't think, I mean, this is going to be controversial coming from a helm to a helm, but I don't think it matters who drives any of these boats. I think we're in the realms of Formula One where does Lewis Hamilton win because he's the best driver? Well, maybe he is the best driver, but he also has the best car. So I don't think it matters. And Luna Rossa will obviously have looked at the numbers, and if there was a performance gulf between their two helmsmen, they wouldn't have two helmsmen.
See, my feelings on it are this. I just love it because it keeps everything clean. It's less people running around the boat, and the division of the tasks, just the whole thing feels more symmetrical. What I don't like about it is these guys have spent half as much time helming a boat as the other helms.
That is very true, yeah.
There's a lot less practice. I mean, I guess there'll be unlimited simulator time, but in terms of real life practice on the water, you know, they've got half the amount of hours behind the wheel, and there's just no getting around that. And that's just kind of a practical thing. And especially when it's a new class as well. And then finally, I do think that maybe the continuity of tactics, they do obviously chat to one another quite a lot and kind of try and paint a picture of what they're thinking. But I wonder, you know, I do have that nagging doubt of whether it's not so much the actual helming, the physical getting the boat in the groove. I think, you know, both of them would hit the numbers in terms of the speed, but in terms of like that game plan in your head, having someone take over and execute something that you had in your head must be quite difficult, especially when you're midway through. And, you know, I kind of felt out of all the teams, it was Luna Rossa who probably seemed to get the worst of the shifts in the Christmas regatta, and I just wondered whether that is a little bit of an artifact of this kind of switching of the roles.
They do sometimes do some quite random things, I noticed, and
yeah, no, that's kind of my only thoughts. But Luna Rossa is a boat to be honest, I don't know if they'll be as good as American Magic, but I think they look excellent, and their division, I think they've got the neatest division of tasks. You know, bit of a nagging worry about whether they can pull it off with the twin helmsman, but it just looks so symmetrical and nice what they've done with their crew.
I think the half practice time is actually a really relevant thing, though, that I certainly hadn't considered. And I know you say there'll be unlimited simulation, but will there, or are they still They're still splitting their simulator time?
Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to find out how things pan out. But let's leave it there for today. We'll break this into another episode. Tomorrow we'll come back with the details of American Magic's crew roles and labour division. So thanks for listening today. I hope you're enjoying these deep dives into the details of this America's Cup campaign, and we'll look to bring you more content over the following weeks. Take care, catch you tomorrow, 5 o'clock for American Magic.